On today's DNVR Broncos podcast, we are breaking down the Broncos All-Quarter-Century team, and then we're also breaking down the Broncos Cowboys matchup. Who makes the All-Quarter-Century team, and where do the Broncos have the advantages over the Cowboys this year? We're breaking it down starting now. Von Miller, Champ Bailey, Pat Surtain. Who else makes the Broncos' best defensive team of the past 25 years? This is going to be a fun conversation. We did offense last week. We're doing defense this week on the DNVR Broncos podcast, live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. And we are the DNVR Broncos podcast. Ryan Koenigsberg to my left, Henry Chisholm to my right. And we got you here behind the camera to round out this week. Fellas, how we doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So we're actually coming to you from the past with this show. We recorded this earlier.
Fourth wall going down.
Exactly. Yes, the fourth wall going down right now. I just thought we'd be honest about it.
Well, there's no way I was getting through a whole show.
They probably recognize our outfits from the Monday show.
I might wear this again on Wednesday too, but yeah.
The funny thing is, I love wearing this Nugget shirt, and literally today, which is a couple days ago now, that you're listening to this, I was like, I wonder, like, to me, it's obvious that I wear this shirt a lot because I really like it on the show. But I'm like, I wonder if the guys notice. And I was like, actually, you know what? I couldn't tell you what Ryan wears every day. I couldn't tell you what Henry wears every day. And so maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, I operate as though there's fans who like write down what I wore every day and cross-reference it. And are like, okay, that's good. Ryan hasn't worn that shirt in at least 10 shows, so this it's a fair rerun.
Mine is usually like three shows, because I have like 3 or 4 different hoodies, like 4 or 5 different shirts, but they're all very similar. I've got 3 pairs of the same black Nike shorts. These ones are not them actually, but I'm a little bit predictable.
Yeah, I mean, I wear a version of the same thing every day.
Right.
So.
I was going to say, I can assume you're wearing black for the most part.
Yep.
And today, well, I guess a couple days ago, you're going black and white today.
Yeah, I am. This is actually the first time I've ever worn these shorts, but you can't really see what makes them cool on camera.
Is it 2s?
No, it's an M.
Oh. For money?
For Malbon.
Oh, of course.
Yes. It's a golf brand.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough to have like chit-chat when I can't say like, oh yeah, I went to all the Rockies games this weekend, because these people have known it for a week.
But that could be said any day of any time.
That's
it would always
actually,
be true.
I told Lexi, Rockies play the Dodgers Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to all those, because realistically, it's like our last 3 Rockies games that I'll be able to get to at least before Broncos starts.
Well, let's pretend like this is actually the day. How'd it go? How was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Well, as my betting strategy was to bet on the Rockies money line all 3 times and assume that the odds will be better than 2-1. You come out slightly ahead if they win 1. And since they lost the first 2 but won the third, I came out slightly ahead against the Dodgers.
I'm going to save all of my Rockies thoughts for the Monday show.
Oh.
For the future Monday
4
show?
days before.
The 4th. So go back a couple of days and listen to Monday show for Ryan's Rockies thoughts.
Yeah, there's because I went to a Rockies game too this weekend.
A lot of Ryans went to a Rockies game this past weekend.
We're not talking about that though. We're talking about that on Monday.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so let's dive into this quarter-century defensive team, and we did this last week on the offensive side of the ball, and we actually planned to just build the entire team in that show, but the conversation was so good, took a long time to do it, and we thought, you know what, there's no rush. Last week, we're going to build the offense. This week, we're going to build the defense. And before we jump to the defense, let's just review the offensive team that we had. And after a week to process this, guys, do you feel like the offense there was any changes that we need to make. So we had Peyton Manning at quarterback. We had Clinton Portis at running back. Our receivers, we just went 3 receivers. We didn't go slot receiver or anything. We went Demaryius Thomas, Rod Smith, Brandon Marshall. Tight end, we went Shannon Sharp over Julius Thomas. Offensive line, we went Ryan Clady, Chris Cooper, Tom Nalen, Quinn Miners, and Matt Lepsis. And then our coaching staff on the offensive side, we went with Mike Shanahan as the head coach and Gary Kubiak as the offensive coordinator. Did we nail it the first time around?
Yeah, I think we did. First of all, this would be the best team of all time. Second of all, the one thing that I considered us maybe changing based on personnel was the offensive coordinator. Like, you could make the Adam Gase case, the Gase case.
Yep.
But
The case for Gase.
I want Gary Kubiak's leadership on this coaching staff. And as we know, Adam Gase severely lacking in that department. So let's go with the well-balanced person
Yeah.
and leave Adam Gase on the sidelines.
I like that.
Well,
Now,
not on the sidelines, actually.
when you talk about leadership for this, at least on the offensive side, including the head coach, since we put Shanahan in there, who's the leader? Like, where does the buck stop? Who's getting the final say in these meetings?
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too, because he always was that. But I mean, Gary Kubiak was the one to hold Peyton back in 2015. It kept him on the bench a couple of weeks longer than I think Peyton wanted to be. Mike Shanahan, obviously the greatest coach in Broncos history. So I wasn't sure if there'd be a trump card with either of those two guys.
Yeah, I'm curious what the dynamic was with Elway and Shanahan. Like, was Mike Shanahan ever in a situation where he was deferring to any quarterback? And if it ever was, it would be Elway.
No, this was pre-player empowerment.
That is true. Players were definitely not empowered back then.
And so, no, the players fell in line.
I also think that John was so unbelievably relieved to be away from Dan Reeves and like be able to have a coach that like wants to do at least something at everything that the quarterback wants to do.
Yeah.
So my guess is he was just like, "This is heaven. I'll do whatever coach says."
Well, and I think that there was a lot of collaboration going on between these two guys, but I don't think there was like Peyton Manning could walk into an offensive meeting and be like, "That's not how we're doing this. We're doing it this way."
Yeah.
And like no one could say anything. I don't think John was operating like that.
Yeah,
I agree.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's build the defensive side of the ball. And I want to say that on the offensive side, the hardest part we had was the offensive line. Just briefly thinking about this, I think the most difficult part might be the defensive line for the Broncos defense, but we'll see. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. And we need to have a quick conversation before we actually dive in. How do we want to do this? Do we want to do 3-4? Do we want to do 4-3? I had assumed 3-4. Henry brought up the idea of maybe doing a 4-3. So we got to start with the personnel we're looking at.
So it probably is 3-4. The kicker, though, is just that beginning of Vaughn's career, 4-3, playing that strong side linebacker, he looked like he would fit. And if you go back through the rest of the Broncos, do you want another like pure like edge like Elvis Dumervil? Does he make the list? And if he does, then it probably is the 3-4. But when you look back at like Trevor Price, obviously you'd have like Derek Wolfe, probably Malik Jackson in the middle. There's a chance to me that you would go 4-3.
So I think there's a really, really easy way to solve this. Mm-hmm. Who's the defensive coordinator? I think we all know the answer.
Yeah,
It's Wade.
It's Wade.
Yeah.
So it's a 3-4.
Yep. Okay, so we're going 3-4. Now the next question that we have
Does that
to
make sense?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
probably, yeah.
The next question we have to get through is the way that Yahir built this graphic. He has 3 cornerbacks, which I appreciate, but only 2 defensive linemen. And if we're building a 3-4, there's 3 defensive linemen. But he said, well, if you have 3 cornerbacks, then if you want 11 guys, you got to take off a defensive lineman. And it brings up an interesting question. Do we want a true starting 11 as how a base would be, as how a nickel would be? Or are we okay just saying, let's just put 3 defensive tackles out there and say it's 12?
I'd go 12 guys.
I think that's fair.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's throw...
How do they do it for the all-pro teams?
I believe they have 12.
I think so, too, because they have...
Do they have 3 corners?
I think they have a nickel.
It might even be more than 12. Let me see.
Which is
I
honestly
think
like...
offense probably is more.
It's how it should be. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's look
Yeah.
that up really quick. because that's fascinating. So you hear your graphic looked beautiful. Let's just add one more defensive lineman in there, and they can all just be called DLs, so we can mix and match a little bit, just like we did with the receivers. Instead of having a slot receiver, we just said, no, we're just going to go with the 3 best receivers, and that's how we got with Rod Smith and Marius Thomas.
First team defense has 2 edge rushers, 2 interior linemen, 2 cornerbacks, a slot cornerback, 2 safeties.
So they go with the nickel.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 linebackers.
2 inside linebackers.
Okay.
No, wait. 3 inside linebackers.
So there you go. So it is based on like a 4-3.
It's a 4-3 with an extra corner, though.
Yeah. So
we can
4-3 and a nickel.
So we can make this however we want, is what we're saying. It's okay to go with the 12. And now we're building the 3-4. Okay, so I think all the rules are out of the way.
Do you think anyone who wasn't watching this deliberation will even notice that there's 12 players on it?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Except one person on Twitter who's going to be like, why did you include an extra?
Yeah, there will be
but
one.
I
know who it is.
Okay, so
idea.
where do you guys? Yeah, I actually don't either. We'll probably click when you say it though. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start inside defensive line, the tough part? Start with safeties, corners.
Let's start with
Outside
the most
linebackers?
fun, and let's go with outside linebackers.
Well, there's a guy on the graphic. Did you get that right? Von
good
Miller.
job, you here.
Yep, that is he is a lock.
Best defensive player in Broncos history?
I mean, he was never Defensive Player of the Year, so Gradishar would have him there.
Okay.
Would Champ have him, or not Champ? I'm sorry, Pat have him there too.
He lacks longevity. You would hope eventually, yes.
That's true. But Gradishar, no Super Bowl MVP.
True.
No, and there's
Did
only
help them get to the Super Bowl for the first time.
Yes.
the Broncos only have one first ballot Hall of Famer on defense, and that's Champ.
Yeah, and that was going to be the next place that I went. It's a good debate. I think we might have just
That's a great
come
debate.
up with the Mount Rushmore with the first 4 people that we mentioned.
Maybe.
So who would be fifth? Who would be right there? Steve Atwater comes to the
Carl
top of my mind.
Mecklenburg.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once you get to Atwater, there's a whole bunch of them right there.
So is it pretty clear? Like
No.
those are the top 4?
I think Mech has a really strong case to be
Yes.
on that mountain.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And I just pulled up the AV, which is the Pro Football Reference stat. It's tough to get good defensive stats, and it was so easy before to be like, oh, which running back had the most yards in a season, or like receivers. Oh, Brandon Lloyd had that one, but they're the 3. AV has this decade Von Miller at 120. Second is Champ Bailey at 104
Oh, wow.
in terms of just like value added. So there is a gap there.
Okay. Anyways, who is our other outside linebacker?
This is where it's so messed up to only have 2.
Yeah.
Because the name that
Yeah.
that jumps to the top for me is DeMarcus Ware. And again, the 2015 defense being the only Super Bowl team on this, plus an elite defense, is probably going to get a lot of guys on this list, as they rightfully should. But he pops to the top, but he really only played, 2 full seasons?
Not even. I
Not
don't
even
think.
2 full seasons. And then added a third on there.
It's 2 seasons because he coached for half of one.
And then he actually coached an additional season after that.
He showed up about as often as I now go to Dove Valley.
That's why we count.
Yeah.
We just
That-
make it 2 seasons complete.
That's very true.
It's really tough.
So what are the other candidates that need to be mentioned here?
So
Elvis Dumervil.
Dumervil, again, if you're going AV, the 2 best seasons ever by an outside linebacker for the Broncos this decade, or quarter century, were Von Miller. The third is Nick Bonito.
I was thinking about that.
And if you go by just
Wow.
total AV, then I guess Bonito is a ways further down. But
I'm
Dumervil
assuming
would then have him.
Scoring 2 touchdowns really boosts your AV.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, so then it's one of those things where it's like, do we consider those fluky, or do we just say he actually did that and that's kind of part of the
He
value?
did actually do that. But I'm just thinking about what that thing is calculating and why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Nick Bonito displayed real dominance last year
Yeah, he did.
as the Batman, not the Robin.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Elvis Dumervil, where are we factoring Trevor Price into this? Because that's where things get
So,
confusing
again,
with
and
the 4-3-3.
Exactly.
Gotta be DL.
Well, yeah. So he's not outside linebacker, but I do think, again, the case for the 4-3 would be that it's if you want to get Derek Wolfe and Malik Jackson in there, then you can't leave off Trevor Price. You probably can't leave off Zach Allen.
I think you can leave off Zac Allen
Really?
based on lack of longevity.
Too short. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Then DeMarcus Ware is
And it's
certainly
also
out.
a problem for Nick Bonita.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, again, like it was 16 AV for Nick Bonita last year. So according to the AV, last year Zach Allen was the 8th best season by a Broncos defender this quarter century.
Well,
8th best,
Which
though.
is, yeah. And you've got
where does Elvis Dumervil rank in this?
his best was 13th by total.
And where does DeMarcus Ware rank in this?
His stats weren't crazy,
Yeah.
right?
So
yeah,
I think this is-
36th.
my lean here would be Doom.
That's probably where I'd go to.
Yep.
Okay.
He was such a monster.
And he was. And he was Batman
yeah.
before Vaughn got there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they overlapped a year, right? Or 2 years,
Yeah,
just
at
1
least
year.
one.
And I mean, that's a guy, not that it plays into this, but that Vaughn said he learned so much from coming into the league right away.
Yeah. And I mean, DeMarcus obviously
Yeah.
he credits with kind of pushing his career over the top. So that's I don't know. This is tough, but I
What if we come back to it and just try to fill up the rest of the team and then give them some time to think?
We can,
people
but
are gonna see it and think like, how is it Dumervil over Ware? DeMarcus was just a little bit later in his career.
yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
Henry said, like the stats didn't really pop off.
It just depends on how much of a bump you give him for the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Because I mean, so
And he was really good in the playoffs.
he was. So he peaked with 10 sacks with the Broncos. Dumervil had 8.5, 12.5, 5, 17, 9.5, 11.
17 sack season.
Yep. I think
Plus,
it
like
has to
other
be him.
ones that just hover right around 10.
What about this could be a tiebreaker here. What did DeMarcus do in the playoffs? 'Cause in my head it was really good, but
Yeah.
Hopefully it isn't, so that we can just make this easy.
Could we just decide who has a better fax machine and what I found as
Oh
well?
my gosh.
So I guess 2 seasons they made the playoffs with him.
I'm just
No sacks the first one. Super Bowl run, 3 games, 3.5 sacks.
sack a game, and I believe one was a strip sack in the Super Bowl.
No strip sacks.
Okay.
Oh wait. Oh no. That was he had a strip sack with the Cowboys in the
That was
playoffs.
Von strip sack.
Okay, there's 2.
Yeah. I still think it's Dumervil.
Okay. 17 sack season's pretty hard to disagree
Yeah.
with.
I mean, that's
Is
the second best in Broncos history, right? Because Vaughn had 18 and a half, and that
Yeah.
was the best.
I don't know about like Simon Fletcher or like
I don't think so.
I'd have
You
to
guys
check.
want to poll it in the chat?
We can
We
do the poll,
can't.
but we're
Yeah, we can.
Oh, that's right. No poll.
We
No
also
poll.
we also have a little interesting thing going on because the show was moved and we're doing it early. We have no ads right now, so you're getting an ad-free segment at least as of right
Oh.
now, I believe.
Wow.
Maybe we'll get an update in a couple of minutes. But let's, or maybe we've gone back and put ads in here.
Oh, yes.
And so what I just said isn't true at all. Okay, so we've got the outside linebackers figured out.
there's no E on the end of Dumervil, and it's just one L.
Dumervil.
It's not like Louisville.
Do we go inside linebackers now?
Sure.
Defensive line, just go from the outside in. Stick
No,
with linebackers.
I like inside linebackers.
Okay, so let's go inside
Yeah.
linebackers. There's one guy that to me just jumps out, and maybe I'm just too biased, but my man Al Wilson.
Sometimes the algorithm just knows me too well, and I got served Al Wilson highlights literally last
oh
night,
my goodness!
and it was just I watched it twice. It was unbelievable. I mean, yeah, pretty easily to me the best inside linebacker of the
Yep.
quarter century.
I think that's what we're gonna find out by looking at who's number 2. Is that
Yeah.
yep, it's Al, and then a massive drop. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer if his career doesn't get cut off because of a neck injury. That's how good he was. What was it? 5 Pro Bowls in 6 seasons or
Yep.
something like that when healthy.
Second team All Pro his last year, first team All Pro the year before.
Yeah.
And like, we're not really supposed to like talk about this stuff anymore, but if you watch the way he played, you understand why his career was short with a neck
Yes,
injury.
it's true.
It's a really good point. He was a
Yes.
guy that struck fear into people at the inside linebacker spot. Now, more modern day, it's like, okay, a safety. Well, now modern day, like no one really can, but like it did become a safety was the guy to strike fear in people like Kareem Jackson. And Al Wilson was like doing that at the inside linebacker spot before Ray Lewis and people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, who's next?
That's where it gets tough.
There's another guy that just jumps to the top of my mind, DJ Williams.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
my mind went to Danny Trevathan.
That's fair. Yep.
I think there's also a case for Wesley Woodyard.
Yep. I agree. Wesley Woodyard at the Broncos facility during mandatory minicamp. Do you guys know why?
Friends with Todd Davis.
He is part of the NFLPA now.
Oh.
Yeah, so stopping by.
I think, I hope I'm not misquoting him here, but Brandon Spano, who covered West during his career, said, like, one of just the greatest men he's ever been around.
Yep, I can totally see it, and hence why he's now with the NFLPA.
Yeah.
Fighting for the players. Are there any other names we need to throw out?
I mean, like Ian Gold, but I'm not sure how long he was here.
No.
In
John
the
Mobley.
2000s specifically.
John Mobley again.
But I think he kind of peaked at the Super Bowls.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I would have thought, too.
Okay, so let's see. So this is for total this quarter century. All linebackers, because it's tough to say who's inside, who's outside with the scheme change and all that. But Vaughn's number 1, Al Wilson 2, DJ Williams 3,
This
Ian
is in
Gold.
this value proposition thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Ian Gold 4, Elvis Dumerville 5, Todd Davis 6,
Hey.
then Brandon Marshall, Josie Jewell, Bradley Chubb, Jonathan Cooper, John Mobley. So this is career.
Why are you so surprised, Zach?
No, I'm just
Why
saying that's
isn't
Well, he's in
cool.
front of his
Wow,
guy, Wesley
awesome. I
Woodyard.
love it.
Single season, Vaughn, Nick, Vaughn, Al Wilson, Dumerville, Vaughn, Elvis Vaughn, Al Wilson, Bradley Chubb. Who's next? Oh, Jonathan Cooper gets in there for your Brandon Marshall, Danny Trevathan does get in there. Wesley Woodyard, Cody Barton, Ingle. I think it's got to be DJ Williams to me.
I didn't realize how long DJ was a Bronco. It was like a full
Yeah.
decade.
Yeah. All right.
I'm also
I'm
lower
in
on
there.
Danny Trevathan than most. I
And
actually did buy the hype at one point, but then I was like, yeah.
And I like Danny a lot. So I mean, I could be convinced that
Yeah.
way. I'm not set on DJ Williams, but
It's hard. It's so hard with the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
bump.
Exactly.
and also when you think about it, it was the defense that won him the Super Bowl. That was one of the best of all time. I mean, widely
But they-
considered a top 5 defense.
Not to take anything away from the linebackers, but the surrounding parts made their life so
Yes.
easy.
No, it's true. It's very true.
I believe out
We
of
ranked them. If we rank the positions of that defense, the linebackers are very close, like 4th, 5th. Like they're like towards the bottom of that list.
Are they last?
I'm not going there. Dude. Everyone that has a Super Bowl ring is first, in my opinion.
I like that answer.
So DJ Williams never made a Pro Bowl. Ian Gold did make a Pro Bowl. John,
In the 2000s.
yes. John Mobley was the one who was good before the 2000s, which
Okay.
is why his numbers were lower. That's when he was like first team All Pro. Woodyard, no Pro Bowls. Trevathan, no Pro Bowls. So that would be a case for Ian Gold. That his high, at least, he did make one.
Ian Gold.
But again, like DJ Williams right there with him, I think.
How many years in the 2000s did Ian Gold play?
So he was a rookie in 2000, Pro Bowl 2001, 2002, 2003, went to Tampa for a year, then 2005, 6, 7, he's back.
Okay.
Wow.
DJ Williams 2004 to 2012 before he finished his career in Chicago.
So it's 8 years versus 6 years?
That doesn't that I feel like that's an
There's
even
no
playing.
longevity,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's an even playing
What
field.
about, like, I'm trying to think of.
I know.
Again, this is us trying to break down stuff from when we were like.
I
12.
know. I just remember them both. All I know is in my room I have a picture that's signed by, it's like all three of them standing the other way with DJ Williams, Ian Gold, and Al Wilson.
Damn.
And it's pretty sick.
Damn.
Yeah.
So your case would be have 3 inside linebackers, and it's those 3.
Yeah. So again, by AV, number 3 of all linebackers career, DJ Williams with 54, Ian Gold with 38.
What about, like, tackles per season? I'm just trying to think of
I know.
anything
Yeah,
that
yeah.
would,
How to
like-
break it down?
Let's see.
Tackles were a stat back then.
Ian
we're not
Gold.
that old.
So 30 tackles, then 42, then 100, 31, 71, 90, 91, 72. DJ Williams.
DJ's gonna have better tackle stats.
Yeah.
I believe so. DJ Williams, 114 as a rookie. He was third in Defensive Rookie of the Year voting, which is worth something. 57, 76, 141, 93, 122, 119. Again, DJ
Let's
also
go with DJ. Let's go with DJ.
Yeah.
DJ
Just go
also
with where
played
our
some
gut is.
outside though. Like, yeah, it was outside in like the 4-3, so it was kind of again like Von Miller. There's a lot of blitzing and stuff. I believe the same thing was true for Ian Gold, although my memory of him is less.
Okay, we're going DJ, but
What's
definitely
the DJ do?
he cuts hair.
That's right.
My hair cutter. Shout out DJ. Okay, now we have to have this conversation. I assume I know where it's going to go since we had this conversation with wide receiver, but let's look at defensive line. And we can also at the same time have this conversation about cornerback. Are we going just the best 3 defensive linemen, or are we going with like 2 edges and a nose tackle, or 2 defensive linemen and a nose tackle? And then the same with cornerback. Are we going 2 outside cornerbacks in the slot, or are we just going with the 3 best cornerbacks? Because we had this conversation with receiver, and we ended up going with just take out the slot receiver. We're just going 3 wide receivers.
I think let's stick with our original decision, but I think that there's going to be a perfect fit for the slot corner anyway. So
It's tough. I think.
Okay, well
actually, ooh.
Yeah, you realize who you're leaving out then.
It's because the Broncos, their history is so good with quarterback. Like we called it, like if there was a CBU in the NFL, like so.
I think I have my 3.
Are we
Okay.
doing cornerback next?
Let's do defense.
Okay.
Should we just die? Should we make people wait, or should we go to defensive line?
I'm fine either way. I just need to set my systems.
Let's go to the corner.
Let's go to
Okay.
corner. Let's dive into that conversation. But we are going to wait for just a second because I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Empire Today, where if you need new floors, we're talking hardwoods, we're talking carpet, you go to the experts over at Empire Today. There's so many big box stores that do so many things: lighting, flooring, walls, windows, everything. Not over at Empire Today. They master in floors. Those big box stores don't master in floors. So if you want the best, you got to go someplace that masters it. And that is our friends over at Empire Today. And they have so many cool things that you can check out over with them, including they've got the virtual floor system where you can see what a floor is going to look like in your space with your furniture in your home as well. You can pick the right floors and the right colors for your space and then see how it looks inside your house as well. With Empire Today, you get clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. And here's the kicker. If you use our code DNVR, go to empire.com/DNVR, you can get $350 off new floors. That's right. Our listeners get the exclusive $350 discount by using the code DNVR. Restrictions apply. Visit empire.today.com/DNVR for full details.
And shout out to Cake Mortgage. If you're in the market for a mortgage, Cake could be perfect for you. For people who don't have like a W-2, don't get regular income, Cake has a bunch of different options. The big one being the non-QM loans, which is a way for people who are self-employed to be able to get a mortgage, even if the numbers, their tax returns would suggest that they don't make enough money to be getting, massive loans. What Cake can do is look at things like your bank statements or your certified profit and loss statements and say like, okay, you're actually making this much money, but because you don't want to pay so much in taxes, you do the smart thing and make sure that you're looking like you're reinvesting those things. You're not taking money out of the business. So if you're somebody who, does creative work, or you're a contractor, tech entrepreneur, you have a business, freelancer, Uber drivers, truck drivers, all those sorts of things, and you want to get a loan and you've had a tough time because you don't just have a W-2 that would make it super simple, you can go to Cake Mortgage Group because they are the best. Cake Mortgage Corp Equal housing lender, NMLS number 1734623, licensed in Colorado by the Division of Real Estate. Terms and conditions apply.
I have a feeling that cornerback is not going to be as much of a piece of cake as Cake Mortgage
Nice.
is. So let's dive in. I think there's 2 automatic locks here. Tell me if I'm wrong. Champ, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes, Champ is actually, to me, the only automatic lock.
Oh, I think there's another automatic lock, and so I knew this wasn't going to be a piece of cake. Pat Surtain. He's the only cornerback to be Defensive Player of the Year.
No, Pat's a lock for me. It's just not as much of a lock as the first ballot Hall of Famer.
I think I just value the peak
that's
more.
fine.
I think I value the peak more. Or just like, it is a lock.
So new value Pat.
me.
Yeah.
Defensive Player of the Year, you're in.
Doesn't even matter. He's in.
Also true.
Okay, so he's in.
So that leaves 2. 2 for 1.
Yep.
I hate this so much. This is the one that I am going to just be pissed off. Not happy that one of them made it, but pissed off that the other one didn't.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about it that deeply, but now I'm already nervous. How does one of these players not make the list?
It's messed up.
Chris Harris or Aqib Talib, one of them, one gotta go?
No, but
Yep.
yes.
Can Chris play safety?
No.
Not
no.
in this.
Do we go the dime package for this?
Yeah, right.
We were struggling to find another inside linebacker.
So, Ryan, you said, oh man, you hear, don't tempt me with that. Ryan, you said you know where your third is. Like, where were you leaning? Were you leaning Chris because we initially had slot?
I was leaning Chris for the combination of longevity and dominance.
Yep. I go Chris too. I don't think like the gap between the peak is that big. You could even say they're equal. They both have 4 Pro Bowls for the Broncos. Both have 1 first team All Pro for the Broncos. Chris also has 2 second team All Pros.
Yeah.
I think to me it's Chris.
He went like almost 2 whole years without allowing a touchdown.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter what I say because you guys have already gone Chris. So Chris gets this slot. Let me just. I don't even want to I want to make the case for Aqib, but it's not a case against Chris. What would the AV be on Aqib compared to the other guys? If
so
you
let's
can
see.
pull that up,
Career-
because my guess. Oh, not career. If you could just do Broncos, if not, I understand. But my guess is
Broncos career.
Aqib Talib was just a game changer. He was the one getting pick sixes left and right. And you talked about Nick Bonito, how much the touchdowns helped him. My guess is those touchdowns for Aqib just skyrocketed. And I think he also probably had more interceptions, at least year by year, than Chris.
So career with the Broncos this century, it's Champ with 104, Chris Harris with 74.
This is combined.
Yeah. All your seasons combined. Surtain with 44, Aqib with 43.
Oh, I see.
And then single season best, you've got 2006 champ, 2004 champ, 2005 champ, and then a tie, 2024 Pat with 2016 Chris Harris.
Okay.
That actually is also tied with 2016 Aqib Talib. And then next
When
you've
they
got
were both first team All Pros. Think about that. A team that didn't even make the playoffs had 2 first team All Pro cornerbacks.
Yep.
How dirty is that?
And then 2022 Pat is up next. And then 2015 Chris is up next. Then a tie between 2007 champ and 2012 champ.
Okay.
Then 2014 Chris, yeah.
It's tight, but you go Chris here. And the one thing that I think is tough in this scenario specifically is like Aqib Talib was guarding like Julio Jones and just the the toughest receivers in the league, which he deserves a lot of credit for because he clamped those guys up on a weekly basis. Chris though was the best player at his position for like a long stretch, and the tiebreaker in my mind, which God, I hate even doing this because Aqib Talib is like probably my favorite player I've ever covered in terms of like covering him. He was just so fun to cover. The thing that I feel like no one could ever make any argument about Chris Harris being a Bronco. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
You say Chris Harris, everyone sees him 25 Broncos uniform. In fact, for me, it's for some reason the road uniform that I see him in. Someone says Aqib Talib, they might think of him as a Buccaneer. They might think of him as a Patriot. And that's not anything against him. It's just he had a long career where he dominated at several different stops. So, unfortunately, somehow, some way, Aqib Talib, who would probably be first on like half the league's list, is not on this list.
And you know what? I like that we went with Chris here too, because if we're actually playing a real defense with this, you got Champ Bailey and Pat Surtain on the outside and Chris Harris in the slot. Like, come on now.
0 completions against the whole season.
Yeah, you're going to run the ball. We don't know who the defensive line is, but you're going to run the ball instead of pass the ball with Von Miller and Elvis Dumerville on the outside. And Champ Bailey, Pat Surtain, and Chris Harris Jr. playing cornerback.
Sicko.
Yeah, this is sick. Let's just stick with safeties, the defensive backfield, and go to safeties here. So we're going all the way back to 2000, and there's some big-time names on this list.
Yeah, multiple Hall of Famers who might not make the list.
It's very true. Although
I think this one's easy.
I think John Lynch is a lock.
Yeah.
Or is
Okay.
it 4 years with the
4
Broncos,
years,
4
Yeah.
Pro Bowls,
Yep.
and Hall of Famer? Now I think this next one there's conversation. Another guy
don't think
who
there
was
is.
a I think first ballot Hall of Famer, Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, shout out Brian Dawkins. Not obviously past his prime when he got to the Broncos, but another person who Brandon covered and just says like, dude, this guy was like so captivating.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine. The interesting thing about Brian Dawkins, because he was past his prime, the first year he came to the Broncos, no Pro Bowl. Second year and final year, Pro Bowler.
Wow.
It was kind of impressive how he finished even better than he started with the team, but only 2 years. So the longevity definitely comes into that. Another guy who had the longevity, Justin Simmons.
Man, it's gonna be really hard to not go with Justin
I
Simmons.
think it's
here.
Simmons. Yeah,
But
to me
then-
it's easy.
Then we have TJ Ward
I know, you're
and
leaving
Darian
off-
Stewart.
2/5 of the no-fly zone.
Yeah, but to me, I mean,
Actually,
it's
you're
still
leaving off
Simmons.
3/5 of the no-fly zone.
Yep.
No, you're leaving off 4/5 of the
Four-fifths,
no-fly
yeah.
zone.
Only
Well, the Broncos
one
included
member
David
of the
Bruton,
no-fly
too.
zone? That's actually crazy to think about.
Yeah. But, I mean, it makes... My case for it would be like, all these other guys had to be alphas for that team, whereas the no-fly zone got to work together. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of what I was saying about, like, Nick Benito last year. Like, he was the guy.
Yeah. Are we leaving out any names, or is that kind of where we're at right now?
I mean, if you were leaving somebody out, it would be like Kareem Jackson is really high up there.
Yeah. Well, and I
Kanoy
think
Kennedy, Nick Ferguson.
we didn't
but no.
we didn't mention Darian Stewart by name, but
Yeah.
he was great.
Yeah. Who would you take if it was between TJ and D Stu?
TJ.
Me too. Yep.
Okay. So we got TJ. We've got
Justin.
Justin Simmons. Is that it?
If you want to include Dawkins, I'd probably go Dawkins
Dawkins.
before TJ, honestly.
I'd
go Simmons, Dawkins,
Wouldn't.
TJ.
It's Simmons. It's Justin Simmons.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's Justin Simmons. And John Lynch could defend the pass as well. But John Lynch and Justin Simmons, that is a hell of a duo.
Yeah. This team is dominant.
This team is so good. Okay, let's go to the defensive line now.
I think, again, you put something like this on Twitter and people didn't hear the conversations and the deliberations, and it's disrespectful to this person, that person. But like, I think this secondary is going to be heavily criticized, even though I think we got it right.
Because of Aqib not being in there?
Yeah, just the omissions are glaring.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this is what I always say because on the Buff Show we'll do projected starters, and people always get so mad. How did you leave this guy off? And my response is always, okay, who are you taking off?
Right. That's the best argument for this one for
Like,
sure.
who would you take off on here to put in someone else? It's You're, for who?
Before keep to leave and you
No,
go for
that's not how this works.
If any cornerback's going to play inside linebacker, it probably would be Aqib Talib.
Yeah. Actually, you
Just
know
put me in
what?
there, coach.
Yeah. Screw it.
Okay, let's go defensive line here. The name Trevor Price has been thrown out a
Yep.
lot. To me, he's a lock.
To me, it's Trevor Price and Zach Allen. To me, it's easy. It's Trevor Price, Zach Allen, Derek Wolfe. I think those three are just a step above. And Wolf in part because of the longevity, but you got to give him credit for that.
Malik Jackson.
I would take Derek Wolfe over Malik.
I just don't know if Zach Allen's been around long enough to be on this list.
But here's another thing. So single season AV for Broncos defensive linemen. Number 1, Zach Allen last year with 15. Number 2, Trevor Price 2001 with 12. Trevor Price 2000 with 11. Trevor Price 2002 with 10. And then you get to like Shelby Harris, and then Malik Jackson tied with Shelby Harris. Trevor Price tied right there. But I think last year for Zach Allen was so much better than, honestly, anything you got from Derek Wolfe or Malik Jackson. That to me, I do it.
Wait, so we've got Trevor.
It feels recency biasy to me.
But what if this, man?
I wonder what the raw numbers say.
Was a good season. What would you do? You would go Malik and Derek? Mm-hmm. And see, I would go with Henry. I'd go Trevor, Derek, and Zach.
So let's see.
Okay.
Last year,
I'm
eight and a half sacks for Zach Allen.
8.5?
Yeah, most for Malik Jackson was 6, which he had in his second year. So he played 4 years with the Broncos. Allen played 2. So that's why Jackson to me is out of it.
How many touchdowns did Zach Allen score in the Super Bowl?
There you go. There is that as well. Derek Wolfe peaked with 7 in his last year with the Broncos. 5.5.
Henry's trying to make a case for Zach to be number 2 on this list. Not just make it, but be number 2.
It's the peak versus longevity argument. Yeah, because neither of those guys ever had like an accolade with the Broncos, at least. Malik did make a Pro Bowl with Jacksonville, and Zach Allen was an All-Pro last year. Like to me, there's what he did last year compared to all the other stuff. The other stuff was really good, but
Yeah.
you know,
Again, it's the value of like being part of something special
Yep.
or
Yeah.
just doing something individually, and it's hard to say, but you guys made the call.
Like if Zach Allen were to just walk away, just retire tomorrow, in 30 years, people would talk more about Derek Wolfe and Malik Jackson than they would about him.
Yes, definitely.
Man. Okay, there
But
we
then
go.
you look at the numbers and say, oh,
There's-
wow.
We need the special teams coach.
There's our defense, but really quick, before we get to special teams coordinator, I want to point out we have 12 starters on defense. 3 are from the Super Bowl 50 defense, which that's the part that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But then it is to your point, like, okay, so you're putting Aqib above Champ Bailey? No, you're not going to do that.
But that's kind of an extreme example. You'd be putting Aqib over Pat Surtain or Chris Harris.
But if you take Chris off, then it's still just 3.
True, so it would be Pat Surtain.
Yeah.
He's the defensive.
I know.
No,
Look,
yeah, it's just
that's my point as well.
yeah, I don't like that only 3 are on it. I guess that shows when we had Alex Singleton on a couple of weeks ago, he said when you think of Denver, you think of the defense being great all the time. Even when our teams weren't really good, the defense was always great.
Except the beginning of the Peyton Manning era.
They did. Yeah. There was a little gap there.
The defense in 2012 was great. The defense 2011 with Tim Tebow was what allowed them to beat Tim Tebow.
Yes.
2012 it was really good. Maybe it fell off in 2013.
It did a lot.
And then John built it back up.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go special teams. Ryan, you're a big special teams coordinator guy.
Yeah. I don't know.
Brock
I only know like special teams coordinators since I've been covering the team.
Yeah.
It's true.
So shout out Joe DeCamillis.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We can get another Super Bowl guy on this staff. Wait, wasn't he Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. So yeah, it was Ben Kotwika. Before that, Dwayne Stukes. Before that, Tom McMahon. Before that, Brock Olivo. Before that,
Wow, that's a hell of a
Joe
three guy
DeCamillis.
Especially going from Joe D about as steady as it gets to those 3.
So 2011 to 2014, Jeff Rogers, which
course,
makes him the most successful special teams coordinator by record.
Trendon Holiday.
Yeah.
Also, you'll remember the return to start the second half of the Seahawks Super Bowl.
Oh, yep. He's out.
We're just done right there.
That ruined my life.
I feel like there's going to be someone from 2000 to 2008 with Shanny.
Oh, there is. We'll get there. Mike Pryfer, 2009, 2010. third least successful special teams coordinator in Denver Broncos history by record. Before that, Scott
Who's
O'Brien.
the least, Brock Olivo or
It's got to be
Dwayne
Brock
Stoops?
Olivo. I didn't. Brock
gotta be
Olivo's
Dwayne
second
Stoops.
worst.
He didn't even make it
Yeah.
through the season.
It
No.
was Dwayne Stoops. He was 5-12. Oh, because Brock Olivo was 5-11. Brock Olivo,
Wow.
5-11, not
That's
5-12.
tough.
Yeah.
Before that,
But
Mike
22 Janos.
Yeah.
Mike Nolan. Oh wait, 1987 to 92. So that was before. So I wonder, where did he go?
Wait, where are we at
Oh,
2000?
this website just skips everything from 92 to 2007.
Okay, so whoever was 2000 to 2007, you get this job.
Well, I don't think it's just one person.
That'd be pretty crazy.
Was Shanahan though? Could be.
I'm checking to see if
Could
they
be,
did
but
something
Chaney was-
weird with their staff.
Loved. I mean, he had a new defensive coordinator every year.
Yeah, no, that's very true. He was too focused on the defensive coordinator, so he just kept the special teams
Fair enough.
coordinator.
Let's
though.
just do all of them.
I want to
It's
say
all
Rick
planned.
Dennison might have had a stint with that special team.
Wow.
Ronnie Bradford.
Okay, as Henry pulls this up, I'm going to give a shout out to our friends over at a place
Yeah.
that I use.
Last
this
year,
week.
Montana's
It's our
defense
friends
coordinator.
over at Mando, where the funnest part of my weekend this past
Most fun.
weekend,
Most
the
fun.
most fun, the funnest part of my
Jeez.
weekend this past weekend was hanging out with you guys down at the Rockies game. The rest of the weekend, I just did yard work all weekend.
No way.
And yes, and good thing I had Mando with me because it was 100 degrees outside all day. I would have been I wouldn't have been able to handle myself if I didn't put Mando
I don't even
on.
think I knew that you had a yard.
Yeah, do have a yard. Yeah,
Nice.
and a tiny yard still requires a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And good thing I had Mando. And the starter pack set you up everywhere. What? Oh, I got a yard with Mando. Exactly. You hear? Mando's gonna take care of you everywhere. The armpits, the balls, the butt, the ball crack, the
All your
the
tiny
grundle.
yards.
Everywhere that you might sweat or stink, Mando has got you covered, and they're going to get you covered with a starter pack that's going to come with so many things for you to try. It's going to come with a cream stick deodorant, solid stick deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like the mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And if you use the code DNVR over at shopmando.com, you're going to get $5 off that. With everything they give you, plus that $5 off, that's over 40% off the starter pack over at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. And use that code DNVR. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
Also, shout out to Coors Light. I walked up to the bar this week and I said, "Can I get a Coors Light?" And everyone looked at me.
Yeah.
And then I started talking like this again, and everyone was extra confused. But it's just a lot more fun to order when you just put a little twang on it.
Yep.
And it's crisp, it's cold, it's refreshing. It's, to me, an ice cold Coors Light tastes like Friday.
So true.
Like that first sip of an ice cold beer on Friday, that, when you think about it, when you close your eyes right now and you envision that, you are envisioning a Coors Light. So if you need Coors Light, because it is Friday as you're watching
Yes, it
this.
is Friday. I need one now.
You absolutely need one, and you can have it delivered straight to your door with Instacart when you go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
And shout out to everyone who's tuning in with us right now. Hit us with a thumbs up. We really, really appreciate it. Okay, Henry, you've done the deep diving into special teams, which we really appreciate. What do you find us?
So here's one for you. Scott O'Brien. First of all, what do you think about him?
I don't know, man. I just don't like that he spells it Brien.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
You did.
Pure guess.
Yeah. Okay, so he started coaching special teams at Nevada in 1983, made it to the NFL in 91, was a special teams coach in the NFL until 2014, including a 6-year stretch as an assistant head coach on top of it. All of that to me says probably was
successful.
pretty good. He was the Broncos special teams coach in 2007 and 2008, which, again,
Wait, what was the name of the special teams coach or the guy who fired Dwayne Stukes and then just said, like, I'll handle special teams?
Jerry Rosberg.
Yeah. I think Scott O'Brien has like a case based only on the fact that he did it for a while. I don't know what you guys think. we are not Joe DiCamillo's fans, right?
No, I'm a big
No,
Jody.
I like,
we are?
I like
Yeah.
Jody.
Okay, so there we go. So I think he's in the conversation.
Yeah, I
Do
think
we
we
just
go
throw
Jody.
Mike Westhoff in there as well?
No, just Jody.
Okay.
We could do Mike Westhoff. Well, you got to pick one. Mike Westhoff was never a special teams coordinator.
That's the thing, is that he technically wasn't.
That book though.
But yeah, I would say he probably was the best.
You know, his
It's
last
just
game
that
with
he
the
wasn't even
Broncos?
that job.
This will just put a stain on everything.
The what
Chiefs
went
game.
horribly
Yep,
wrong.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah.
He drove from Denver to Florida the following Tuesday. He said, "I'm done." Well, there were health issues as well, but that's how he left. Okay, so
I
let's.
had health issues after that game as well.
I think
I hope he's okay.
he's okay. He's okay, which is very good. Okay, so there we go. Joe D, congratulations. We now have our entire Broncos all-quarter-century team. Boom, there we go. Okay, let's get into this next conversation.
By the way, this is like basically our lives.
Yeah.
You know, plus or minus a couple years.
Yeah.
Mostly plus. We have been so blessed.
Oh my goodness. Just put a smiles on my face when
Yeah.
I look at it.
Being a Broncos fan is such a blessing.
Yeah.
You just get to watch all-time dominant players every year. Even when the team's not good, you get Champ Bailey.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
you know, you just it's pretty sweet.
And Clinton Portis and
Yeah.
Brandon Marshall. Like even again, when they're not good, you still get those guys. Such a good point.
And it's, obviously the team was very good during some Champ Bailey years.
Right, right. Okay, let's jump into today's Broncos and look at our season preview going to week 8. And the Dallas Cowboys come into Denver.
So confusing.
'Cause it's Friday.
This is exactly
Yeah.
because it's Friday. So we've already talked about week 4, 5, 6, and 7, which were great conversations, by the way. Really
Yep.
liked them. But I think this one's going to be the best of the bunch. The Dallas Cowboys coming in here. Dallas Cowboys who have a new head coach, who have a new wide receiver, who have the same quarterback, who have obviously the same owner, who are coming off their worst year in a long time. Their worst year under Dak Prescott, for sure. How do we feel about these Cowboys here? By the way, most expensive ticket on the Broncos schedule.
That part's interesting to me because
It's a home game?
Yep.
yeah. And it's significantly more. It's like $380 to get in the door. Anything else is happening. It's because the Cowboys have so many fans. And
Yeah,
I was
fans.
looking back.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, they might not be like good people, but they are people who wear Cowboy jerseys. But yeah, I was looking back. The last time they were here was 2017. Apparently there were a bunch of Cowboy fans here. I don't personally remember it, but reading like Westward had a story where it's like, as expected, they had a bunch and there was like almost a
Yeah,
fight
they
or
were
whatever.
real quiet when
gonna
Aqib
say.
Talib was taking
That's the thing.
198 yards. to the
Put
crib.
42 yards on them. And then I
Trev
went
had
back.
4
I was
touchdowns.
actually reading Cowboys Reddit from that game, and they were kind of funny. Melted down as usual.
I actually
Yeah.
think it was like 108 yards. It was something crazy.
yeah.
And I had one of my most viral tweets ever where I said, I think Tony Romo was the quarterback. Probably.
Think
Yeah.
Dak.
And-
Dak still.
Really?
Yeah. No, he started
Wow.
2016 was his first year.
Oh, yeah, because he was the same draft as Paxton.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know. I said like Dak Prescott's leading receivers on the day, and then I listed all, and then I said Aqib Talib, 108 yards.
Yeah.
That is tremendous.
Yeah.
That's when Zeke had like 0.7 yards per carry.
And that's when I realized like everyone hates the Cowboys, so an anti-Cowboys tweet has
Right.
just so much
Yeah.
viral ability.
I got to remember that. We got to remember that this year.
Yeah. I think I'm a little bit worried that there's going to be a crazy number of Cowboys fans here.
No, not
You don't
this
think
year.
so?
The Broncos are too good.
Okay.
There will be a lot.
Yeah.
And that's true of almost every NFL stadium.
Yes.
Like when one of these teams comes
yeah.
through, they just get in, like because they live in Denver, they get to go to a home game here or a game where they live once every 8 years. They're spending the $400 or whatever they got to
Yep.
do to get in the building, and there's just nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah.
You can get into the Chargers game. Week 18 could be a big game. $70.
Wow.
And what's the Cowboys game now?
$380.
I'd
By
way
far the
rather-
most expensive.
Well, I mean, you are taking a gamble with that week 18, but I'd rather gamble on that at 70. Way rather gamble on that at $70 and go to the Cowboys
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
They're buying up the tickets at the very least.
Okay, so Henry, take us through how this Cowboys team is different from last year's team.
Well, there you go. They lose Demarcus Lawrence. They lose Brandon Cooks. Lose Rico Dowdle, the running back. Replace DeMarcus Lawrence with Dante Fowler Jr. That's a downgrade. Replace Brandon Cooks with George Pickens. That should be an upgrade. Replace Rico Dowdle with Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, and Jaden Blue. That's a whole lot of mid. That is somehow a downgrade, that 3-for-1. But yeah, I mean, you throw in Tyler Booker, first round pick, big old guard out of Georgia. Robert Jones. To me, like on paper, they got worse. I also think that last year was pretty fluky in how badly it went for them.
Here's the craziest part to me. Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
They massively, and I mean massively, downgraded at head coach.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, absolutely.
How is that possible?
They did what John Elway did when he hired Vic Fangio. Hired a guy that has been around for so long, never got a head coaching job, and there's kind of a reason for that.
No, I think they did. When this is funny because a normal company in the world, internal promotion is considered like a healthy, good thing, a mark of a good company.
Yeah.
In sports, I think internal promotion is a mark of a little bit of laziness and a lack of imagination.
I can get behind that.
And to me, it's like you fired a long-term, proven, very mid at best coach, but also someone who won a Super Bowl, to bring in someone who has no experience and is very, if you had to bet on it, is going to be unsuccessful.
To be fair, though, Brian Schottenheimer, so last year the offense obviously wasn't good. Year before when he was their offensive coordinator, they weren't the number one scoring offense in the NFL.
Was Mike McCarthy calling plays, though?
I actually don't know. Did McCarthy call plays? I'm not sure.
I think so. I'm not positive, but I think so.
Anyways, I
agree.
You it's classic, like, to me, this is George Karl to Brian Shaw.
You know what this really is? I mean, you're saying it without saying it, and everyone knows it. This is Jerry Jones being cheap. He didn't want to pay Mike McCarthy the $20 million that good coaches get. And Mike McCarthy before last season was like a 12-win, 10-win coach for like 4 straight seasons or something like that. He didn't want to pay him. So you know who was going to take a discount to be their head coach? The guy who's never been a head coach before.
Yes.
So they gave it to Schottenheimer. I totally agree with you. They downgraded from a good mid coach. They downgraded from that.
Yes. And it's a, you never know with coaches. Sometimes you just find one under a rock and they're your coach for the next 20 years and you got lucky. But it feels like in the NFL recently, that's been happening less and less.
Yeah. You know what's fun about this game? As we look at the matchup between the Broncos and the Cowboys, they're not going to run the ball. I mean, they don't have a very good running game, and they just got George Pickens. So they're going to be slinging the ball over the field with Dak Prescott, which they'd like to do anyways. But now you got CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. They're going to be throwing, and that's going to give opportunities for Pat Surtain. That's going to give opportunities for Jade Barron. It's going to give opportunities for Talanoa Hufanga. It's going to be
Riley
such
Moss.
a fun game. And, of course, Riley Moss.
The Cowboys have been dysfunctional for a little while now, and I just smell more dysfunction coming. I saw a video where CeeDee Lamb, they were like, so who's wide receiver 1? Which I thought was disrespectful in the first place to even ask him. And he was like, oh, it's like there's 2 wide receiver 1s. And I just feel like they're already placating George Pickens, who isn't actually that good. And it's just going to end in flames.
Yeah.
When CeeDee Lamb doesn't have his 30 catches come week 4, yeah, he's going to be pissed.
He needs the rock too.
Yep.
He's had some like fits on the sidelines and whatnot.
Yeah.
And George Pickens needs it too, even though I don't even think he's that deserving of needing it. So this goes poorly. I just know it.
I think the Cowboys get a winning record. That's where I'm at. I don't know that they'll be as good as they were before last year, because I mean, 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. That's pretty good before they go 7-10 last year. And they go 7-10 without Dak for the second half of the season. And yeah, it's like Dak wasn't playing his best football. But how many teams do we see like, oh yeah, it was a slow start and then they kind of figured things out? Doesn't mean they wind up going, that they're a 12-win team last year. But it does mean that like maybe they wound up getting 9-10 wins. You know, they don't have DeMarcus Lawrence all year. They don't have Micah Parsons for a lot of the year. They don't have the big cornerback, both their cornerbacks, but Trayvon Diggs was missing a bunch of time. So like, I think just by being healthy the talent there, to me, this is probably like a 10-win team. And who knows, maybe the coaching change doesn't make a difference and they just are what they were 2, 3, 4 years ago, which is just consistent 12-win teams. To me, though, at the very least, they should have like a winning record.
Well, let's break it down. Go position by position. We're going to do that in overtime. Go to thednvr.com to catch the rest of this show in overtime. And one more thing, speaking of thednvr.com, we've got our sale, big time sale, make the move sale going on now, really to highlight the Avs and Nuggets both going into their draft, both having free agency right now. $36 intro offer right now to get in on this deal. Plus, it's not just going to get you Nuggets and Avs. It's going to get you Broncos coverage. Training camp less than a month away. It's going to get you coverage for an entire year. Make sure to join us. I mean, that $36 pays for the t-shirt and then you get everything else for free, or you pay for that and you get the t-shirt for free, whatever you want to think of it. It's a great deal. Only a few days left, I believe, so make sure to get in on that right now. Okay, let's break down the Broncos and the Cowboys. Let's look at quarterback. Bo Nix or Dak Prescott? This is a fascinating one. Dak Prescott is the ultimate numbers merchant. You could look at the stats and boy, are they freaking good. But is he the guy that you want come the playoffs? I think history says no. Regular season says yes.
But
luckily, this is week 8. So you don't have to worry about the playoffs.
also, we don't have a sample size on Bo in the playoffs yet.
Also true.
One, yeah.
But we don't want that sample.
The last memory is Bo to Troy.
Okay.
For 46.
Good memes. Yeah. Especially since I had Troy Franklin first touchdown.
Great memes then.
You have to go Dak here. It reminds me a lot. I wasn't here for it, but it reminds me a lot of the Herbert conversation where it's just like there is a real sample size for these players of performing at a really high level in the NFL. And we don't have that sample size with Bo yet. Mm-hmm. I think it's very possible that by the end of this season, you could take Bo over both of those guys. It's just too early at this point, in my opinion.
Yep. That's fair. I will say, come this week, before this week, so right after week 7 when the Broncos beat the Giants at home, we're going to be saying Bo's a better quarterback. But right now, I understand what you guys are saying.
Yep. Again, 2023 is last healthy season. Finished second in the MVP voting.
Yeah, pretty good.
He's really good.
Running back. This is Broncos to me, guys. I mean, Henry showed us
the rare Broncos running back room win.
Because I like the Broncos. Blue. They have the Broncos starting running back from last year, and right now I think he's penciled in to be their starter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if you're pessimistic on J.K. Dobbins, you would say slowed down most of the season, looked like Javonte Williams. That makes that a wash. And then you throw R.J. Harvey in, and you like it.
Yep, exactly. Wide receivers. Okay.
I think
easy Cowboys.
Yeah, this is Cowboys. Until everyone blows up on each other, but
yeah,
you got to go with Cowboys.
Who's their third wide receiver right now?
It's a great question. He's not going to get the ball. I'll tell you that.
Or he's going to be open.
Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah.
And then Kavonte Turpin there as well, more gimmicky, of course.
What about who's their tight end? It's Schultz, right?
Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Schultz went to the Texans, and they replaced him.
They have
with Jake
another
Ferguson.
guy who's good, don't they?
That might have been Jake Ferguson before. Luke Schoonmaker is their number 2.
Yeah, he's good.
And Ferguson's good, but Evan Ingram, man,
What did Ferguson do last year?
He had 494 yards, 59 catches, played 14 games.
Ingram.
So basically an Ingram year.
No, Ingram's better than that. No.
I like Evan Ingram here. I would take him.
I think I do too. For what's worth. Oh yeah. So Ingram had 365 in 9 games, not 494 and 14. So there is a difference. Then the year before it was almost 800, but it was 900 for Ingram. So yeah, we go Ingram.
Boom.
Ferguson blocks, but I don't care.
Offensive line. Broncos.
So the Cowboys, it's kind of their calling card is their offensive line. But
had a couple key pieces retire in the past 2 years.
It's bad now.
Okay.
So Broncos, boom, there we go.
That's probably why they're not going to have a winning record then.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And because of this, their defense, I'm going Broncos for sure. And in fact, this reminds me of DeMarcus Lawrence. He signed with the Seahawks. Do you remember his interview with the Seahawks reporter when he signed?
Yeah.
It was what was it?
He said, I wanted to go to a place where I had a chance to win a Super Bowl.
And then wasn't the response like, you don't think you could do that, Dallas? He was like, oh, definitely not, or something like that. Like, it was so...
Should we just have this template, have the checks already on the Broncos defense?
Yeah. And see if any team knocks them off.
I don't think there will be
pass
one.
rush, coaching, coverage. Yep, we got it. Okay, so Cowboys only have the advantage as in receivers and quarterbacks. I like it.
What an interesting... Yeah.
And what an interesting show. This was fun. We got to break down the Broncos of the past 25 years, the Broncos of the future. Had a blast doing it. And you have a terrific weekend, man. I wish this was really Friday.
Yeah,
That would be incredible. But you all have a terrific weekend. We will be back with you on Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit us with a thumbs up. And we will see you on the other side of the weekend.
We all silly like the mayor.